Okay, so today we've got Anthony VanDyke, one of the top lenders in the state, loan officers. He owns ALV Mortgage, and we're super glad to have you on today, Anthony. Thanks for joining the show.
No, thank you, Chris. I'm excited to be here.
So if anybody's wondering why Anthony and I are going to be smiling through this, I forgot to hit record on the Zoom here. So Anthony and I have done half the interview. We're going to repeat that for you guys because it's full of good information. So you're going to want to stay tuned and watch this. But yeah, Anthony, maybe just share with us, now that everybody can see you, share with us what your background is and why people should trust you as a mortgage professional.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So I've been doing loans since 2006 when I first got licensed. And, been through the recession, been through multiple cycles, been through now a pandemic, and, one of the top lenders in the state of Utah. So because I've helped so many people and covered so many people's different loan situations, there's really not a situation that we can't help.
Awesome. And then you guys also, you do new home purchases and refinances as well, correct?
Correct. So purchase either an existing home or a brand new construction home, or when interest rates are low, then, a lot of people make sense to refinance and lower their monthly payment.
So as we discuss, kind of like how to get a mortgage, the basics, the 101s on this, we're just going to ask you a lot of questions that we get asked all the time. You and I know the answers to these. However, we want to make sure that we're sharing them with as many people as we can. So first step is getting pre-approved, right? We tell people all the time, you need to get pre-approved before you start looking to buy a house. And so what does that pre-approval process look like with you, Anthony?
Yeah, the pre-approval is really important because what happens if you don't get pre-approved is you start going out looking at homes, you fall in love with something, and it's either just out of grasp or it's completely out of grasp.
Yeah.
So it's good to get all of our ducks in a row up front. And that way, when you're out going out looking at homes, you're not wasting your time, looking at the wrong thing or the wrong area. So, the pre-approval process is really about gathering information so that we can make a decision about whether you'd be a good person to look, to lend money to. And it's really about, can you afford the monthly payment and are you likely to pay the monthly payment back? So we're looking at things like credit, income, and assets. And then there's a ratio we talk about a lot called the debt to income ratio, which is what your total debts are compared to your income. So, credit scores are really important. Higher the better for your interest rate. But credit scores kind of give us an indication of how likely you are to make the payments and pay the loan back. If you've paid all your payments on time, based on that past history, it's likely that you're going to make the payments and pay the loan back.
Okay. So a few points that we want to dive a little bit into detail from what you just talked about. Let's talk a little bit about income and job history and what people want. Let's also talk about the debt to income ratio to see what people qualify for. And then also let's wrap it up with kind of credit scores and what you guys are looking for, because it may shock some people, it shouldn't, but lenders, when they lend money, they want the money back. so yeah, with the job, the income and job history and stuff, what does an ideal borrower look like?
Yeah, great question. So what we're looking for a job is we're looking for an employment history of 24 months. And it doesn't have to be the same company. It's just a history of employment with one company or multiple companies going back 24 months. And if it's multiple companies, it's no problem. And some people ask me, is it okay if I change jobs right now before I buy the house? And that's kind of a tricky question. If you're going into a job where you're going to be paid a salary, then it's an easy yes. And the reason why is we want to know what your income's going to be in the future. And if you're paid a salary, we understand what your income is going to be in the future. Mm-hmm. If you're paid hourly, the hours are changing constantly, then we might want you to be with that employer for 6 to 12 months. So we have enough of a history with that type of variable income so we know what it's going to be like in the future.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, a lot of people, based on their jobs, they know what they make and they know, how much money's coming in every month. I think where a lot of people get hung up on those, they say, hey, I'm making this much money. I jump on this online mortgage calculator. I should be able to buy a house for $500,000 based on what I make and what I feel comfortable with making a, monthly payment. But we know that's not the case, right? Lenders want to see a specific, they refer to it, like you said, the debt to income ratio. So maybe elaborate a little bit more on that as far as like, how can our viewers know what they could actually qualify for in a home comparing what they make?
Yeah. So a general rule of thumb is about 30% or 33%. So about 1/3 of your income towards the online calculators is they may only be calculating that the monthly payment on the mortgage. As a lender, we're going to look at the principal and interest payment, the homeowner's insurance payment, the property taxes, maybe mortgage insurance if you're not putting a 20% down. If you're buying a condo, maybe an HOA payment. So the entire housing payment, we'd like that to be about 1/3 of your income. That way, with your other debts and your other car payments and your other living expenses, that your housing is comfortable, if it's at the 33% or lower mark of your income. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Now, you can go higher than 1/3, depends on your other debts. 1/3 of your income is kind of what we're looking for on the housing debt to income ratio.
Yeah. And that's, I think a lot of people also, when you're thinking about what you think you can afford monthly, I think a lot of people forget about their other debts. And a lot of times you forget about, exactly what those payments are, or exactly, how much you owe every single month to other lenders that you've borrowed money from. And so yeah, I agree with you that 1/3 is the sweet spot. However, ultimately, and we're putting this info out so people can know and be aware, but ultimately the best way to know about getting pre-approved, if you want to buy a house, is to just try it, right? like to just give you a call, run the application and see where you're at. And then I know a lot of people's fear is like, well, what if I get rejected on the pre-approval? Then what?
Good question. So we try not to reject anybody. I mean, there's usually a way to make something work. And if there's not a way to make something work today, then what we're going to do is we're going to give you a written plan. We're going to give you some details, in writing. This is what you can do. This is what you need to do to be able to purchase a house in the future. That, this is where we're at. We're not that far off. This is where we need to be, whether it's fixing a credit issue or a little bit more, find a way to make it work, whether it's today or whether it's in 8 months. We can put something together to help you get where you need to be.
Okay. Yeah. And that's where I've been the most impressed with you and your team, Anthony, is that you guys, your follow-up game and helping people follow through with those plans is incredible. I mean, I've seen numerous other lenders who are like, well, you need to get your credit score up. Come talk to me when your credit score's up, right? There's no support. There's no assistance, when I think a lot of people who are in that boat of not being able to qualify right this second are looking for somebody that's going to help them accomplish their goal. And so that's where I've been the most impressed with you guys, is your ability to see people from the starting point to the finish line.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we take a lot of pride in that, because where they they can't help someone right now, and so they disregard them. And our philosophy is a little bit more like, there's kind of two types of people. There's people out there who've never paid a bill in their life, and they're never going to get pre-approved. And then there's other people who are just, this close, or sometimes even this close. It's like, okay, to help you buy a house in the next 12 months, in order to, the lending fits inside a box, lending guidelines. In order to meet the lending guidelines, in order to fit inside the box, and in order to buy the house, this is what we need to change. And sometimes we need to change your credit score and increase your credit score by doing this. And we have some tools that'll tell you, if you do X, Y, and Z, it'll raise your credit score X amount of points. Or if we need a little bit more time on the job, or whatever it is, we'll put that plan together, and then we'll put them on a follow-up system where we're checking in with them every month. And, hey, how's your credit card paid down? Oh, it's Christmas. You spent more money on it. Got it. Well, we know what we need to do. We'll check in January. Hopefully you're able to pay that down in January. And so eventually we can put all the pieces together to where they're in the place to where they can. If you're not in a position to buy a home today, we can get you there. Maybe it takes 3 months, maybe it takes 6 months, but with a little work on both of our parts, we can arrive.
Yeah. And hitting on the last topic here, then, we've mentioned the word a ton, credit scores, and I think it's common sense. The higher, the better, right? The higher the credit score, the better. But what is that kind of bare minimum credit score that people need to be able to get a pre-approved?
We really like 620. 620 is kind of really what our target is, 620 or higher. There are situations where you can buy a house below 620, but financially, the difference between a 619 and a 620 is huge. Mm-hmm. We're going to try to do everything we can to get to that 620 level. Most of the 100 do require the 620. So it's just on all facets, a 620 makes a big difference from a 619.
Well, and that goes on to another thing I appreciate about you guys is, other lenders might see that 615, 616 credit score, whatever it might be, and be like, oh, well, let's just push you into a loan, even though it's going to ruin you financially in the future. I'm going to get my check. I'm going to get paid on this. You're going to get your house, and then I'm never going to see you again. So that is another thing that I've found with you guys is, whether it's that 620 mark or, people approaching, any other tier for getting a lower interest rate, you guys always advise what's best for the client. You advise them in saying like, hey, even though we could get you this loan right now, it might be better if we wait a little bit, get your credit score up a little bit, or, get these debts down a little bit. It's going to help you qualify for, a better house or more of what you're looking for type thing. So that was another thing that led us to wanting to partner with you guys.
Yeah, it's true. And, it's kind of like we close enough loans that, not that one loan's not important, but if it's not in the best interest, then it's not in the best interest for...
You're still going to be able to pay your mortgage if you don't close them this month.
Exactly. And we actually turn down a lot of refinances. We get people call us where they want to refinance, and we'll tell them, you know what? The cost of the refinance just don't justify the savings. I know you would like to refinance. I know you'd like the savings, but at this time, it's just not right for you. So whether it's a refinance we're turning down or whether it's a purchase that we're saying, hey, if we do this, this, and this, and we wait an extra 60 days, this is what the numbers are going to be, and this is why it's going to be better for you.
Yeah. And you're like me in that we advise people on this stuff, right? But ultimately the client's the boss. And so if they insist, yeah, we'll help them with it. But we do try and advise and help them understand why that would be in their best interest to do those things.
Exactly. And if you got a 615 credit score and you want to buy a house and it's $300 more a month than if you had a 620 credit score, like if you want to go forward, that's fine with us. But I want to make sure that you have the knowledge that 615 credit score equals a payment of $2,000. And if you do X, Y, and Z, which may take you 60 days, then you could buy a house with a 620 credit score and it'd be a $1,700 payment. Whatever you want to do is fine. You qualify for both programs, but these are your options.
Yeah. One last thing that I wanted to ask as well, though, is for the people that want to see if they can get pre-approved or who want to start that process to then get their ducks in a row, what's the best way for them to do that?
Two options. One is an online loan application. Chris will post the link in the video below. Yep. Really easy. It's just going to ask about your address history, your employment history, and your income history. Another way is a phone call. Give me a call anytime, and we're happy to figure.
Yep. So we'll get the link to the loan app if you want to do it online. If you're the type of individual that would rather talk and have that human interaction, we'll add Anthony's contact info as well to ALV Mortgage. So yeah, feel free to reach out to them. They've been great. We really, we trust them. They come highly recommended from us. And so yeah, if that's what you're looking to do in the coming year, make sure that you reach out to them and get that process started. And then hopefully, because we set you up with such a great person in Anthony and getting pre-approved, hopefully you'll then call us too to help you buy the house, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it.